Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire. Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire.
Yeah, good morning. I am super excited this morning because Engineer La is in the studio with us today. Good morning, wonderful people. This is Cactv and the newspaper review is just about to begin. So stay tuned and make sure that you have a fantastic time with us. I remain yours truly, Mother Dominique and Engineer La. Good to have you back on set.
Donuts, good morning to you. Viewers at home, good morning to you.
Alright, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Alright, quickly, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the quotes for the day and also the stories making headlines around the globe. Please stay tuned, we'll be right back shortly.
Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire. Cactv, igniting.
Okay, welcome back. So first, let's take a look at the quotes that we have for the day, and this is taken from the book of 1 John 4:16, and this says, "We know how much God loves us, and we have put our trust in Him. God is love, and all who lives in love." I'll take that again. We know how much God loves us, and we have put all our trust in Him, because God is love, and all who lives in Him is also loved. So this is to assure us that God is love, and God is still in the business of loving you and I. God, His nature is love. His person is love. So everything you do, always know that God is there and is still loving you and is still caring for you, and His topmost priority is to see that you are loved and you are being taken care of. So not for any reason should you give up on yourself, because God has not given up on you. His love surrounds you. His love keeps you. His love sustains you. All right, so thank you so much for listening to that quote with me for today. So quickly, let's dive right into the business of the day, which is the newspaper review. Okay, so starting with the Punch newspaper, what is the first story that we have? This says, Ajera's alleged assault. FG knocks Labour. Strike records partial compliance. Lagos, Rivers, Kwara, Bauchi workers shun Labour. Kano, Edo, Delta, Akwa Ibom and others comply. The federal government on Tuesday berated the organized labor over the ongoing nationwide strike declared by union leaders following the assault on the Nigerian Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero. Okay, so we'll also see the further story that says Kamorudin Ogundele, the special assistant to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, in an interview on Arise Television on Tuesday, he said that the strike was not in the interest of the country. But the president of the Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, who also appeared on Arise Television, also noted that the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, had not apologized over the brutalization of Ajero. Okay, so we'll also see that he also stated that this nationwide strike was also declared by the organized labor, recorded partial compliance in several states on Tuesday. Okay, also faulting the labor leaders, Ogundele said declaring a strike at the time will not be in the interest of the country. Also, the country is trying to regain economic control and to also recover in several sectors. Okay, so that's how much we can take from the story, and we'll also see that the way forward to all of this, why the Labour Congress are really complaining and going about all of this is because they want justice. If something is done right, if something is done wrong, it's expected that, okay, for instance, in this case, this man was actually brutalized in the same state, and you don't just close your eyes over issues like this. It's expected that you either go for a visit to either apologize for what is ongoing, because I am also of the opinion that if something like this is happening to a leader who is speaking, somebody who is hearing the voice of the masses, what then is the faith of the masses? Now, are you trying to tell us that people should always keep quiet, that they can do things and then go scot-free? I'm still of the opinion that these people want peace to reign, and that is why they want them to also know that what they've done is wrong, and they need to come to the knowledge or understanding of this and do things the right way. I'm sure they are not asking for too much. So, Engineer Ola, I know that you have so much to say. I have actually missed hearing from you. So what do you have to say as regards the story, because it's been making headlines for over 2 days now?
Now, you see, the issue of Nigerian Labour Congress is not new to all Nigerians. And then, to me personally, Nigerian Labour Congress has not been helping development of this nation at all. In what regard? Fine. The only issue Labour Union addresses in Nigeria is when there's an increment in petroleum price in Nigeria. That's when they come into the foreplay and say, we no go green. I could remember in those days when I was in secondary school, during the time of Ali Mongun also, we were crying, Ali must go, Ali must go, Ali must go, during the Ambassador regime, when there was an increment in the educational sector, that's the school fees. Students came out and said, no, you don't have to do this. That was before the students were bought over. And that was before the Nigerian Labour Congress too were bought over. We have seen lots of strike in this country for the common man. When Oshiomhole was the Nigerian Labour Congress president, we saw the way he fought Obasanjo to stand still, and everybody in the nation supported him. But look at now, what is the status of the government of today? The president has come out to say that, oh, I inherited lots of debt from the past administration. Now look at the state of the economy of the nation today. Nothing is working. Gas for cooking at home, the price has increased. Fuel for generators, for automobile vehicles, the price have increased. Some companies are folding up. Now want to go on strike. Instead of us to sit down on the round table and discuss this amicably, Parents can no longer afford to pay children's school fees. And what is going to be the consequential result of students not going to school? Our ladies will take into prostitution. Our boy will start doing yahoo, gambling, baba jebu. We are inviting anarchy into the country. There are lots of Nigerians who are working as casual workers. Ladies, for example, work overnight. How much is their salary? They pay them weekly. And if you don't go to work in a day, you are sanctioned, you will not take your salary. Labour will not address this issue. There are lots of issues in the country today that Labour will not speak about. There are lots of insecurity in Nigeria today, thereby there is no food. Somebody was telling me in the bus that, oh, we have to import food from Netherlands. What happens to our farm? So at this crucial period of the economy now, do we have to go on strike? I'm not saying we should not demand for what is our right. I'm not saying that the National Assembly is sitting on top of money. The government wants to go and borrow money. Government cannot borrow money without the approval of National Assembly. National Assembly will approve that this government should go and borrow money from an agency outside the country. And when the money comes to the country, they will distribute the money. Then who's at fault?
Okay, so engineer, let me cut you there. So are you saying now? I quite understand that Labour are sometimes do not look out for the main problem of the masses and go ahead to tackle the issue. But as far as this is concerned, are you saying that the president of Ajero being brutally beaten, and then this governor of the state is not coming out to either sympathize with him at this point, or because what it is they are fighting for right now, or the reason why they are going for strike is not even about the masses now, is about the fact that the governor is not paying attention to what happened to the president.
I am going to that.
Okay.
This is the first time in the history of Nigerian Labour Union that the president will be beaten. We have to be very careful to understand why was he beaten up. Who are those involved? Are we saying that we are now indicting the governor, that the governor sent them to beat him up? Is that what you are saying?
That is why they need justice. That's why they need to be the head. They want the government to intervene.
This matter must be investigated. So that who are those people that were behind the beating of the Labour Congress leader? Who were those people that were behind it?
Okay, so
were they sent by the governor, or they did it on their own? We have to understand that there are two faces to this issue. One issue that the Labour president was beaten by unknown people, but let's say by thugs. Who sent them? We have to be very careful. Who sent them? Are these people that beat him up? Were they from the masses, or were they from the government? Where did they come from? What was he beating?
So that's the question. That's the question on the minds of these people. That's why they want the governor. I think that's one of the reasons they want the governor to either come out and say, okay, we would look into this matter, not just neglecting the case, because this is a serious case. So does it mean that they can't come outside and protest peacefully or hear their voice? I know that for whatever reason they may not be doing the right thing, but at this point, with the case currently on ground, they are asking for justice. They are asking what is happening. The governor should be able to come out and say, okay, we will look into this case, not just push it aside and say this is not the time to go on strike. This is the major reason why they are actually going on this same strike.
The government has not said anything, but when you now hear from the assistant Minister of Justice, the PA to him, he said at this particular moment it is not right for us to go on strike.
And then we paint the issue that is on ground for our own. And you know, we all know the country that we are in. That the moment some cases are being pushed aside, you never get to hear of it. But if it was something that was affecting this government, or these people in this sector of the government, being the governor and all of that, you would hear certain actions being taken into consideration immediately. So why is this an issue where they have to say, okay, that is not the bone of contention at the moment, so we need to, put that aside?
You see, on this matter, the opinions are divided, because there's no way that the federal government will borrow money from a foreign country and we enjoy in Nigeria. When you borrow money for a project and the money is not well spent properly, what happens to that? We'll be in debt. And when the federal government is going to borrow this money, Nigerian Labour Congress is alive. They witness all these things. When they borrow the money and they share the money, Nigerian Labour Congress is alive, witness all these things, they are not saying anything. When the economy is now bad, the Nigerian Labour Congress will now come and say, no, you cannot do this, you have to do this, you have to increase the salary, you have to do this. When the matter was dragging, Labour was not saying anything. I am not in support of the beating of the Labour Congress president. I am not in support of that. It is very bad. But what led to the beating? Who are those that were involved? That is what my concern. Who are those that were involved? That in beating, he let him also say, oh, I was beaten up by so and so and so people.
Well, he can't say because it was an attack. So I think that's the question we need to ask. That's the point where we need to find solutions to and ask questions. These are the questions that people need to ask.
But what the PA, as Ogundele is, what the PA is saying that Labour leaders, this is not the right time for you. Let's just say, okay, when we look at the position of the government, maybe the government is now telling them indirectly, at this period of time in Nigeria, you don't need to go on strike. Maybe the government is telling them indirectly. I'm not saying the government said, do not go on strike. From what Ogundele is saying, let's say indirectly the government is saying, this is not the right time for you to go on strike. Because the government said to them, do not go on strike, because if you go on strike, you'll be arrested. Already this matter is in court, that you should not go on strike. If you go on strike, that is we are undermining the judiciary. Don't go on strike. I wouldn't know who are the people that gang up and beat up the Labour Congress president, but you don't have to go on strike at this particular period of time. So I wouldn't understand. But when you look at it from another perspective, as a layman, you will say that the government is saying that indirectly, do not go on strike.
Well, I don't think I'm also in the support of them going on strike, because as I yesterday, ASU was also, in planning to join the strike. And if ASU joins the strike, it means that students will be back home because of the strike. And
then you now spend 8 years in the university for a course of 3 years.
So that's the point where I would say I really do not want this at all, because we've had so much. They just recovered from the strike they went to the last time. So going back to it again is not the best thing at the moment. Okay, so right now we'll move to the next story, and this says CBN extends validity of old Naira indefinitely. The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced its intention to extend the validity of the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira note indefinitely. This is the Apex Bank declared its desire to extend the validity of old Naira notes beyond any expiry date. According to the Apex, it is working with the relevant authorities to vacate the subsisting court ruling on the same subject. The bank disclosed this in a statement signed by the Director Corporate Communications, Isa Abdulamin, on Tuesday. The statement, titled CBN to allow old design Naira banknotes as legal tender, ad infinitum, said the decision is lined with international best practice and to foretell a repeat of early experiences. The statement read, "Without prejudice, the Central Bank of Nigeria wishes to inform the general public of its desire to extend the legal tender status deadline of the old design of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira denominations ad infinitum." Okay, so that's the second story that we have from the Punch. Okay, so I do not know why why we are extending these Naira notes, these old Naira notes, because the last time we heard about this was we had a timeline, And luckily for us, the money has circulated. So I still believe that, do they still have the old Naira notes with them for them to have extended this for only God knows when that would be? So what is the reason and why is this coming up at this time?
Let me ask you a question. When you are broke, would you change your wardrobe?
Of course not.
Just simply answer the question. You are saying Nigeria is broke. Economically, Nigeria is broke. There's no money in the country. Why do you want to change the currency? Because when you want to change the currency, it involves money, more money, and there's no money.
We are not paying attention to the things that are currently facing
it was a political gimmick as at that time. You understand? And the aim was not achieved.
And these were the same set of persons who were saying that, you know, changing the currency at the time was not the right thing to do at the time. So why is this? Why are they now, you know?
No, that is why the central bank governor is now saying that we are no longer changing the currency. Let us be spending what we have now. The new ones we have printed, the old ones that we have, let it continue like this, because this is not the issue of the moment. The economy is down. Students are not going to school. You cannot afford a 3 square meal a day. Many homes they eat only twice, and you want to spend money again on
printing.
No. So that is on right, or is in the right part, or on the right part by saying that, oh, let's be spending what we have now till further notice.
Okay, so we'll take a look at the last story from the Punch, and this says sacked agencies. Member sues Adeleke, demands 2 billion naira. Members of the 4 recently dissolved statutory commissions in Osun State have filed 2 billion naira suit against Governor Adedamola Adeleke before the National Industrial Court in Ibadan, Oyo State. This also tells that the Punch report that the governor on October 30, 2023 announced the dissolution of the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, Osun State Judicial Service Commission, Osun State Civil Service Commission, and Osun State House of Assembly Service Commission. New births were on Monday inaugurated for the commission, but the members of the dissolved commissions in 4 separate suits contended that they were sacked because of the completion of their 5 years tenure, which ought to end in 2025. The 4 separate suits are each demanding 500 million naira in damages against the governor. In the suit filed through their counsel, Muhyiddin Adeoyo, the sacked commission members urged the court to declare the dissolution of the commissions and refusal to pay salaries and other emoluments due to them as illegal. Okay, so that's the last story that we have from the Punch. Okay, so
you see, we do not want to interfere with a matter that is in the court. But notwithstanding, the governor should understand, does he have the power to do what he's doing now? They are specified their terms that has to be 5 years term. That has to be followed. Why do you have to change them? This is, to me, is politically motivated. No. You just do what you are supposed to do. I don't understand if Osun State Independent Electoral Commission is under, is the administration. They have 5 years term. Why do you want to put a stop to that? Why don't you allow them to complete their term? You understand? I don't understand, but since the matter is in court, let's wait for what the court judgment will be. And then again, instead of them to say that, specifically put their foot on ground that, oh, you cannot sack us because you did not employ us. We were set up by the government under a particular law, and this law must be obeyed. They are now demanding sums of money. Would that solve the problem? So let's wait for the court to decide what is the actual
forward. All right, so away from this, we'll quickly go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at further stories making the headlines, and then we'll be starting basically with the Vanguard newspaper. So we'll be right back shortly. Stay tuned.
The Apostolic Fire. Cactv, igniting the Apostolic Fire.
Yes, welcome back from that quick break. This is still Cactv. This is the Morning Dew newspaper review. Okay, so we'll take a look at the story making headlines from the Vanguard. Starting with the Vanguard, the first story says NPAN to FG provides succor to ease suffering of Nigerians. The newspaper Proprietors Associations of Nigeria (NPAN) has asked the federal government to move speedily with its economic reform program and provide the much needed succor to the long-suffering Nigerians within the shortest time possible. The association made the demands in the statement issued after its 2023 annual general meeting held on November 8, 2023 in the Lagos, and signed by its president, Malam Kabiru Yusuf, and General Secretary Mrs. Angela Emoa. The statement read, "At the AGM, the NPAN reviewed the statement of the nation, the economy and the print media industry and resolved as follows. Now that the elections are over and the government has been constituted, the federal government should move speedily with its economic reform program and provide the much needed succor to the long suffering of Nigerians within the shortest time possible." That is concerning the nation of Nigerians' size and youthful population, lack of robust paper culture of the education and mobilization of its citizens. Okay, so that's the first story from the Vanguard newspaper. So I am actually looking forward to this, where the suffering of the masses would actually come to, let's not say an end, because if we say an end, it's more like we're exaggerating. So where it will actually come to a minimal state where people can really say, yes, at least we know that we are better than where we were in the past 4 years. So Engineer Ola, what's your take on this?
It's an advice to the government that make hay when the sun shines, that provide support to Nigerians so that this will stop our suffering. Advice to the government. That's what everybody is saying. So Nigerian that is NPN is also advising the federal government, make it when the sun shines, give us support,
do the
needful. It's an advice.
All right,
it's
so
okay.
We'll take the next story still from the Vanguard, and the next story says, "We inherited serious liabilities," says our president. President Bola Tinubu on Monday night in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, said his administration inherited serious liabilities from the previous government, but assured that he would not make any excuses. The president his declaration came barely 24 hours after the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, said Buhari's government threw the nation into bankruptcy. Tinubu is also in advanced negotiations concerning a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure finance facility from the Islamic Development Bank to fund a multi-sectorial portfolio of the infrastructure projects at the federal and subnational level in Nigeria. President Tinubu, in a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Chief Ajuri Ngalale, said Nigeria is the candle of hope, that's the light of the way for Africa, and once Africa is illuminated, the world will be a brighter place for all of humanity. Okay, so here the president is saying he doesn't want to make excuses, but he has said this statement repeatedly in some of the stories so far. So and I'm also looking forward to him not just saying this statement but also bringing it into action. Now, making reference to the past governor, whatever they did, and then you inherited what have you. People, the past presidents have been inheriting. That's what they call once they come to to the seats. They say they inherited a lot of liabilities and then they need to sort it out and then blah blah blah. And then you say you don't want to make excuses. Okay, fine. We know you don't want to make excuses, but the way forward is what we need, and we are also looking forward to also this infrastructure that they are planning on with the Saudi Arabia. I'm looking forward to it coming into reality. So, Engineer Ola, what's your take?
Well, this is on APC because the government has been continuous from Buhari to Tinubu. Is APC. Tinubu was alive when Buhari was ruling, and they belong to the same party. So they have been following the party policy, and the policy has taken us to where we are today. There's no money in the country. The economy is in shambles, and this party has been there for the past 8 years, going to 9 years now.
The party is to be questioned.
So he doesn't have any excuse, as he has said. He knows his party is guilty. So his party must look for a way to revamp the economy of this nation. Now, okay, Buhari has left. Tinubu is there. It's the same party. That is a continuation. Okay, on the party line that they are still running. So, and when you have continuation, you understand that the economy must improve. So this is going to be a very big burden on President Tinubu. He has to continue, and the economy must improve. So going to Saudi Arabia now, even the National Security Officer has come up to say that Nigeria is bankrupt. That this is what Buhari led us into. But it's the same party, APC, that is ruling us. So they now can identify that there is a big problem in Nigeria economically. They have to give us solution. We must provide solution to that problem. You understand? And also the issue of going to Islamic IDB, Islamic Development Bank, to take loan again. It's not the issue of taking loan to develop infrastructure. The main issue is when the loan is taken, this loan will not be shared by the National Assembly again. That they want to buy cars, they want to build houses, but this loan will be spent on the project that is intended for. There are two things here. One is to take loan from the bank, the other is to lavish the money. So if they are taking money from Islamic Development Bank, they must now know how to make sure they utilize the money, and the money will bring succor to Nigerians. So telling us that Nigeria has gone bankrupt, that the past government has done this, that is not the issue. The issue is, what are we doing now to revamp the economy, to reorganize the damaged economy of the nation? That is what we are expecting President Bola Tinubu to do for us now. So I think he's taking a right step by going to Islamic Development Bank, because in that bank the Arabs, they come together as one body, and what they do is that they contribute money, they contribute funds to assist Africans. I mean African nations, they contribute money to develop African nations. When we take the money in Africa, we should spend the money judiciously. That's my take on that.
That's very important. Spending the money judiciously is the way forward, and not making excuses at this time, because Nigerians are not ready to hear excuses. We want results. It is results. I want results. I do not want to hear excuses, because we've had so much excuses and it has led us nowhere. So moving forward, we'll take a look at the Sun newspaper. What's the first story from the Sun? This says prioritize workers' rights over partisanship, says Oshomole. The senator representing Edo North, Adams Oshomole, has called on, and I have argued when I was in NLC, that nobody has a right to be partisan, much more than those who turn the wheel of our industrial progress. But in saying that, we must recognize that, however, how hard you try, when it comes to politics, people are going to have different reasons for supporting different candidates. Okay, so I think this is more like part of the story that we read from the Sun. So if Oshomole is coming to say that he's also in support of Labour because of how he started his background as a worker. So I'm still wondering what exactly his message is to us right now, as far as this story is concerned.
No, you see, what he's trying to say is that if you are a Labour leader representing Nigerian masses, especially Nigerian workers, you don't have to participate in politics. You don't have to take side in politics. I belong to this party, I don't belong to this party. Your duty is to be, in between. When there's a matter of discourse between the government and the Nigerian workers, you don't take side. You support the masses.
Because you are the voice
Because you are the voice of the people. You have to fight for the right of the people. That is what Oshomole is saying. I was the president of Nigerian Labour Congress. I fought for masses. We knew then when he was going to Abuja with only one shirt, yes, for about 4 days.
Exactly.
On a motorcycle, he sit at the back of the motorcycle. We watched him live on TV. He went to Abuja and told the Master John to his face that, Baba, we are not going back until our demand is met. But now look at the way they negotiate. There's no dignity.
It's bringing me to what you always say, that they are not paying attention to the voice of the masses.
Yes,
it's about
there are a lot of issues that are involving in politics. Many people are working as casual workers, earning as little as 25,000 naira in a month. People are earning 10,000 naira in a month. Go to Computer Village, you see all those sales girls, 10,000 in a month. In a country as small as Ghana, they have a policy called SNIT. Even if you are working as a sales girl in a shop, you have to pay a certain amount of money from your salary for SNIT, which is the housing program. By the end of the year, when you retired, at the age of 40 or 35 or 50, you retired, government will collect all this money and pay you back. Nothing is being done by Nigerian Labour Congress. They don't pursue this policy. There are other benefits you get in other African countries you don't get in Nigeria, and Labour is not doing anything about that. They are involved in politics. Why would they not beat up the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress? Because he's now trying to become a politician. He's taking sides. So what Oshomole is advising them is that, look, I was once a leader like you now today.
And I understand how
I understand the game is. I will support you, but do not involve in politics.
Exactly. because the moment you begin to involve yourself in politics, you're beginning to take side, and then you will not be able to say the truth where you need to say the truth. It's just like a pastor who is always getting benefits from a particular rich member. So when he wants to preach a topic, he will not be able to preach a certain topic, because he knows that once he preaches, it will be going against it. That topic may not go well with the rich man that is always helping him. So for this reason, please, Labour, please do not take sides. Be the voice that we want. Be the voice of the masses, because that is why you are there. That is why that's, you know, that session of the party was created for the masses. Okay, so lastly, let's take a look at the last story that we have from the Sun newspaper, and this says how we can end insecurity. Says East. This is from Kalu, and it says Deputy Speaker of House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu has called for improvement of social infrastructure and youth empowerment in the Southeast as a means of ending insecurity in the zone. Kalu, according to a statement, Livinus Nwabugogu also stated this when he received the Resident Program Director, International Republican Institute (IRI), Santiago Stocker, who was in his office in a courtesy call. The deputy speaker said he was championing the Peace of Southeast project, PISE, alongside his colleague as part of the effort to end insecurity in the region. Let me ask, thank you for what you're doing with regards to this identity crisis issues within various regions. Okay, so we'll also see that it is also said that it's an issue, but I believe some of this crisis that we have in some areas around the country could be resolved more with non-kinetic approaches. Okay, so going further, we also have that he also said, I believe non-kinetic approaches have not really been utilized to its fullness. Okay, so that's the last story that we have, and this is coming from the Southeast, from Kalu from the Southeast, and he's also talking about how we can tackle or end insecurity, which is the order of the day, especially as far as the South is concerned, Southeast is concerned. They have been going, you know, facing back-to-back issues, and this is as a result of insecurity. And if we really do not pay attention to it now, it may go beyond the Southeast, and that is what we do not want. People could no longer go to their farms and farm peacefully, and this is one of the things that is affecting the economy generally. So, Engineer Ola, what's your last take on this?
This is the major problem we have in the country, not only in the Southeast. It has to do with insecurity in the country. Farmers can't go to farm. Nigerian food basket is, let's say, it's paralyzed. I will not use the word dead. Let's say it's paralyzed. It does not only concern Southeast. And then what this man is saying that kinetic approach to it may not be the solution to it. But I do not agree with him on that. You know, because if the federal government of Nigeria is making enough effort that every state security, you know, is working and is geared towards providing security in the state, you will see a better Nigerian. People cannot go to the farm and say, okay, I want to go to my farm and farm. When you have people, kidnappers who are waiting for you. Let me give you a simple example. You are coming from Ibadan along the express. So I was noticing certain things in the car. I started to park so that I can check the security of the car. I mean, check what is going on with the vehicle. We parked there for about 30 minutes. No, by the time we started moving, when we got ahead of the road, we realized that kidnappers have abducted people from 2 cars. Wow. And have taken them into the bush. You know, you see, what can we say about that? So security in this country is paramount, is of high importance that the federal government should provide security, should do something about this insecurity, not only in eastern part of the country, but in all the entire generality of Nigeria. Farmers can't go to farm, traders cannot go. Okay, like I was told that all these cow herders, if they are bringing cows to Lagos, they have another route that they have to take. Sometimes they pay 1 million naira on a trailer to bring cows to Lagos. These kidnappers are there. If they don't pay that amount of money, they will not go. So the government has to do something on kidnappers, not only in the southeast. And you cannot accomplish this. If you listen to the word of our former president, Ebele Jonathan, he said there's no way you can fight security in this country without using technology. I agree with him. A train was moving from Abuja to Kaduna. You know, the train was mobbed by people. If we have satellite that providing how the train is moving, we're able to see that, oh,
this is where they are stopped.
This is where they are stopped. The same thing on the road, when vehicles are moving, we should have drones. Every state government must have drones. That, okay, when we have kidnappers that have taken certain people into the forest, with drones to be able to identify them, know their location, and then get to them, they will stop doing it. Like one day somebody was talking about vandalizing pipelines, that it doesn't happen in America. It happens in America. They vandalize pipe in America, but it's not by this so-called
breaking of
yes, this so-called towels. But government does not give allowance to that at all. They man their pipeline. They have drones flying to monitor the pipeline. So it will be difficult for you to go there and sabotage the pipeline. The same thing if you have drones flying. You know, even in America they use low-cost drones. You know, so you can reach anywhere you want to reach. The forest, you'll be able to locate where they are hiding and then go and bust them. But government is not doing that. They have marked certain amount of money for security. All the governors, they have security allowance. What do they do with the money? And then if you go to a computer village, you can buy a drone of 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira. Are you saying the governments cannot buy these drones? They can fly for 15 or 20 minutes for surveillance. All our forests in our states, we can fly drones for surveillance because we are no longer using fuel. You are using battery. A drone can fly on top for about 20 minutes to survey the areas, and you know what is, okay, this is a particular area where these people are hiding. Then you can go out there and maim them.
I'm sure it's all of this is because we are not paying attention to the things that are more important to us. When it is about self, this is what we get. But please, we plead with the federal government to pay attention to the security issue of the state because it's becoming something that is out of hand, and this is what we do not want. So thank you so much, my viewers, for joining us today on the newspaper review. It is always a pleasure to be on your screen and bringing you the newspaper review that you need to hear from us. Okay, so to this end, we'll say have a lovely day ahead. I remain your host, Modo Dominic.
And my name is Ola Oladipo.
And together we say, be
Nigeria, by Nigeria.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire.